That's why you don't want to. Do that. I pay rent, pay the fucking car note. I'm a stupid ass. Remember, fellas, put shit under your name, and now you're gonna get fucked over, dog. Fucking have to come from work. She comes out all my clothes. She just throws it out. I cleaned up the whole patio yesterday. I cleaned up the whole yard yesterday. And that's literally what I'm getting. Now I'm stressing. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I'm a man. And I gotta keep going. This ain't right. But it's gotta happen, right? I just say may God bless her and take care of her and take care of my daughter. But remember, fellas, don't be having kids with any fucking woman out here. Don't be having shit. Don't be paying shit if it's not under your name. Shit. We gonna get this. We gonna get back up.
Alright, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachak with Dash for giving me the spirit to do this lesson, Lord willing. It's edifying to the elect. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, great millstone, who rule well, the leaders of all Israelites in these end times, showing us the correct way to salvation. Shalom to you, Akwaf, meaning you Israelite sisters that are in order. Shalom, and shalom to you brothers out there teaching on the highways and hedges, as well as you Israelites that look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom. Alright, this lesson is called When a Woman Maintains Her Husband. And this is a sad case of, just that. Because, this guy, he had to learn the hard way. This Jake, I assume him to be a Jake. Looks like a Northern Kingdom Jake. Jake being short for Jacob, meaning one of the children of Israel, our brother, okay? And this is, we're under the curses, man. So, the men of our nation are not doing amazing, you know what I mean? On average, you know what I'm saying? We're bound to fail in Esau's kingdom. So, the way things are set up, is to destroy the man. Well, women, it's, the system is set up to destroy women too, but the family structure is targeted, and the head of that family structure is the man. So, if you can bind the strong man of the house, then you can overthrow that house, you know what I mean? Because the man is the backbone and the strength of the family. And what they've done is they've, pushed that ideology of feminism on our women, and, made it to where women, excel above a man in this society. And, they get lots of help, from government handouts and stuff and benefits. And, all they have to do is have a child, a woman. They have to have a child, and then they can be, given benefits, food stamps, Section 8 housing, you know what I mean? And it's like that throughout most of the world, if I'm not mistaken. But, us men being in a position where, we sometimes may have to depend on a woman. You know what I mean? We might find a woman and we get along well, but you're not doing so well, and you need love too as a man. So you say, all right, well, I ain't got much, but she does, and we like each other, so I'm gonna move in with her. Thinking that's a good idea, but it's never a good idea. And it says it in the scriptures, and that's what I'm going to go into in this lesson. So before I run my gums too much, let's just start here in the book of Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 22. It says, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. So if a woman is taking care of her husband, paying the bills, even if you're paying the bills, which in this case, this brother was paying the bills, man. He showed it, midway through the clip. He showed the receipts or whatever from the rent he was paying. He was paying a lot of money, man. but that ain't good enough. Okay, you're never gonna be respected as a man. Okay, and you're gonna end up looking like this guy through, man. You know, he looks hurt, and rightfully so. I mean, he has to start again. You know what I mean? It's not easy for a man out here. You know, when you have to live with a woman, or you know, even just you know, being in a marriage when women take half your stuff when you get divorced and all that, leave you looking like this guy, man. You know what I mean? So you gotta be careful with these women, but you know, when it comes to the system too, you know, you gotta be careful for that, as far as like, you know, leaning upon Esau's ways when it comes to the marriage. You know, getting down on one knee, giving her a ring, and then basically simping, and then you know, signing that contract, which is an agreement between you, your wife, and the devil, rather than a covenant between you, your wife, and Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai. You know, when you trust in the devil, this system, this government, you get married with these women. You know what I mean? They could take half your stuff. So it's not easy for a man in this world, man. You know, it's full of traps and snares for men. All right, but it says here, a woman, if she maintain her husband. So if a woman is taking care of her husband, man, you know, putting him up, even if it works out, you love each other, you think you do anyway, and you know, you're bonding, everything's working well, and then you move in with her thinking that's a good idea because you guys are just getting along so well. It is human nature that if she is taking care of you and you're here playing video games, feet up, even if you're out working, paying the rent, but it ain't your house, it's not in your name, you know, she's always gonna have power over you, man. She's always gonna kind of hold that over your head. When you get in the first little argument, she might say get out, and then you make up, and then you're moving back in, and it's just mind games, man. And you're out here looking weak as a man, okay? And you ain't supposed to be doing that, all right? And we're gonna get into it in this lesson because there's many precepts that go into this, okay? For any jakes out there that may be going through a similar situation, you know, lean upon these scriptures for wisdom, guidance, and instruction, and the way to life and peace, okay? So it says, if a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. So she's going to reproach you, meaning she ain't going to respect you as a man, okay? She might talk back, talk over you. You know, she could be wrong and argumentative and just being a damn bully to you. But if you argue back and you're living under her roof, boy, that is a mistake, okay? Because women, they don't hold back. You know, they have no mercy, man. Okay, you're talking about the same creatures that, you know, hit men with low blows on a regular, as far as, you know, using their children against them, man. That's a low blow, and women have no qualms in doing that. So you out here living under a woman like that's roof, arguing with her, thinking you can talk to her however you want, which you should be able to, okay? Not saying to abuse your wives and mistreat them, but I'm saying, like, if you've got something to say, a point to get across, and you have to raise your voice slightly or whatever, it is what it is, and she just has to take that, okay? Because you're the head of the household, all right? And she's not to usurp any type of authority over you as the man, okay? So, you know, you got to hold on to your manhood in this earth, man, okay? And you're going to lose that quick if you're living under a woman's roof. I'm going to tell you that right now, okay? I've been there. You know, I had to learn the hard way myself. I've been in a situation very similar, so I can relate, okay? That's why I'm doing this lesson. So, you know, Lord willing, it guides anybody that hasn't yet gone through that. Maybe it might guide you in the right direction if that, you know, situation ever arises. But yeah, so, you know, these women are just, they'll turn on you if you're if they feel like they're taking care of you, or they have any type of power over you, okay? You can't give them power over you, man. All right, you're end up looking like this guy right here, man. But like I was saying earlier, you know, in this society, this Western society, is set up for women to have an easier time surviving than men, okay? Because, you know, if a woman and a man split up, you know, she keeps the children in most cases and normally gets the house because she has to use that house to raise the children, and then your ass is out on the streets. Okay, that's you know, that happens a lot. And not only that, but you're having to, you know, figure it out and give her the child maintenance, as they call it here in England, but they call it child support in America. Okay, she will quickly put you on child support, and even if she don't want to, in order for her to get them benefits, she's going to put you on child support, man. So it's an ugly world out here for men. I'm not saying that men shouldn't provide for their children. Of course you should. Okay, but you know, when the government's involved, they're not gonna look at your income in the sense of, oh, you know, what you can afford. They just say, all right, F the bills you got, this is what you're making before tax. They don't even count after tax, man. Before we tax you, this is what your income is, so we're going to take a percentage of your income and make your life extremely difficult, man, so that you're out here begging women for a place to live. You know, it's a sad world, man. But as long as you follow the guidelines and instructions of these scriptures, man, you're gonna be alright. You're gonna be alright. Let's turn to the book of because I'm running my gums again, man. Let's turn to Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, how long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? Talking about, you know, the Israelites that fell away. It says, for Yahweh have created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. Okay, so the Lord says this is a new thing in the earth that the Lord has created, right, as part of a plague or a curse upon our people. And it came in the form of feminism, which, you know, Eve gravitated to because it was, you know, pleasant to the sight, you know, and the fruit looked pleasant to eat, let's just say, right? She thought that she could be equal or above a man, which was not her role. So therefore she, you know, ignorantly is causing chaos within the family structure, man. But it says here, how long will thou go about, O backsliding daughter? For Yahweh have created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. That's feminism, okay? Because when you go into the etymology of the word compass, it means to go around, okay? Which, you know, really means go around the authority of a man in this case. Okay, so the women are now going around the authority of a man thanks to a woman named Gloria Steinem, an Edomite woman, more than likely an Amalekite. I'm not 100% sure on that, but she's part of the wicked sent to deceive the world. Okay, and Eve has fell for the deception. Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent, and Eve was the idiot. You know, she really was. You know, no, I'm not trying to insult you, but you know, he was. Okay, and you know, it hasn't turned out too well because you know, now you got women thinking they're above a man, equal or better than a man, which is not true. You're the weaker vessel. Okay, according to the Holy Bible, you will always be the weaker vessel. Don't care how much more deadlifts you can do than me or how strong and independent you are. Okay, so let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 21 and verse 19. It says, it is better to dwell in the wilderness than to be with a contentious and angry woman. Contentious meaning argumentative. Always want to have the last word, always want to argue, always want to talk back, you know, always want to... Some women get off on that, man. You know, they really, you know... I've come across clips on social media in the past where women openly admit that they, you know, they're attracted to chaos. Elder Apostle Tahar calls them chaos goblins, which is fitting, you know, because they run around like little chaos goblins with their high pitch, you know, that squeaky hyena voice. But anyway, man, you know, it says it is better to dwell in the wilderness, better to be alone in a shared house or something, or just out there on your own, man, in the world, than to be with a woman. That could be a dime piece or whatever, but it ain't worth it if she's contentious and angry, and she's going to become that naturally if she's maintaining you, if you're living under her roof. Okay, you can expect that to come with it. Okay, so if you like the chaos too, if you're a chaos goblin yourself, then you're a perfect match, and you go ahead and move in with her, man, if you like that type of lifestyle. To each his own, right? Let's go to Sirach again, chapter 33 and verse 18, and it says, "Hear me, O ye great men of the people," us, the hopeful elect, or whoever the elect is of the people, right? So it says, and hearken with your ears, listen, ye rulers of the congregation. Give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest. Okay, so while you're living, don't give anybody power over you. Okay, it goes into wife, brother, friend, but it means anybody. Okay, don't give people power over you. Okay, unless there's somebody like, your elder or something. Okay, or your father. That's understanding, but not your wife, your brother, your friend, your parents. Understandable, but you can't just let people have power over you, man. You gotta, hold yourself, to a certain standard and have some integrity about you, man. It says, while thou livest, so as long as you're alive, right? So it says, and give not thy goods to another, lest it repent thee, and thou entreat for the same again. Meaning just don't give your personal belongings over to somebody trying to help them out when you ain't got it yourself. You out here giving your man a man your last 20 and you need that for petrol to get home or something, and you repent and it repents you, like you regret doing that, and then you out here looking stupid like an Indian giver asking for it back, man. Anyway, so we won't go too deep into that because that's not the point, but the point was in the beginning, and I'll end it at verse 20. It says, as long as thou livest and has breath in thee, give not thyself over to any. See, it says any. So just don't put yourself in a position where somebody has one up on you, man, and they got something, over you, whether it be blackmail or whether you're indebted to them or you sign a contract to them and you owe them, or you've made a pledge with them that you can't keep or something. You just got to be very careful out here, man. All right, so this is Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Okay, so don't give your strength to women. It's pretty straightforward, but in this case, don't be moving into women's houses, man, because you're giving them your strength when you do that. No doubt about it. That's what you're doing. So don't give your strength unto women. Another form of that is getting down on one knee, which is a pledge of submission. You're like submitting to her. Don't be doing that. Nothing wrong with marriage, but do it the right way. Do it the way according to the Bible. Okay, you don't get Esau involved. That's a covenant between you, your wife, your maid, and Yahweh Wahasham Yahushai. Your wife or wives, should I say. All right, so let's end it with Sirach 9 and 2. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go here, but I will. Okay. It says, give not thy soul, Sirach 9 and 2, give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance. That's going into like how you do the traditional marriage, where you get on your knee, put a ring on her finger, okay, and then she's got you. It's over. It's a wrap, yeah? says, meet not with an harlot lest thou fall into her snares, which, you know, I only read that because it's highlighted, but it's really not relevant to this lesson. But yeah, don't do that either. You know, don't meet with a harlot lest you fall into her snares, man. Imagine getting a harlot pregnant, man. You have fell deep into her snare. Okay? Balls deep into her snare. So give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance, meaning your belongings. Because if you do marriage according to the way Esau does it, as an example, you know what I mean? You got to be very careful when dealing with women in this world, because it's the one thing that destroys men. Many men have been destroyed by women, man, and have been brought to a piece of bread. As a matter of fact, let me grab that, okay? But this precept is basically going into how, you know, you really shouldn't be getting on one knee and doing things according to the Esau's ways, man, because it never turns out well, you know. This is Proverbs 6. I was just going to read verse 26, but we'll read all of this highlighted in pink. So we're going to start at 23. This is Proverbs 6 and 23. Okay, after this we'll close it out. All right, it says, for the commandment is a lamp, talking about the law, you know, these scriptures. Okay, it's a light. It will guide you, it will lead you in the right direction to life and peace. Okay, so cleave to it, man. It says, and the law is light. Okay, same thing. It says, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. And you can find plenty of that in these scriptures, especially in the book of Sirach and the book of Proverbs, man, packed with wisdom. Okay, it says to keep thee from the evil woman, because women can be evil. Okay, it says from the flattery of the tongue of the strange woman. Okay, so you know, you just got to be careful with women. But you know, this can also go into how, you know, Babylon the Great is known as, you know, the mother of harlots. So she would be counted like a whorish woman also, or a strange woman. Okay, so don't get caught up in the philosophies of this place either. Okay, when you look at it as a, you know, in a spiritual aspect. So verse 25, it says, lust not after her in thine heart, meaning your mind. You know, and it doesn't mean that you can't look at a woman and say, damn, she's fine, you know, she's attractive, because that's natural. How else are you going to hook up with a woman? You know, you have to find her attractive. You have to find, you know, you have to like her. And there's nothing wrong with admiring the beauty of a woman. The Lord created that, okay? And it cheers our countenance. But it says lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. And this is referring to a whorish woman, because the scriptures speak about how the haughtiness of a woman may be known in her eyelids. So this is what it's talking about, okay? You know, there's nothing wrong with admiring the beauty of a woman. That's fine, okay? Just as long as she's not married, you ain't lusting after a woman that's married. Which in this society, you don't know who's married. They're all married, really. You know? You ain't finding too many virgins these days, especially at our age, you know. But so it says in verse 26, for by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread. Okay, reduced to nothing, man. Especially if you're moving in a house and you move all your stuff in there. Big mistake. Okay, I've done that. Luckily at the time I was already in a bad case, and I didn't even have a lot anyway, except this one possession that was my prized possession that I moved in there. But, you know, they seem nice when everything's sweet, and when things go south, which can happen very easily. You know what I mean? Just make sure your stuff ain't in her house, because you ain't getting it back. It'll be reduced to nothing. You'll be back to square one, mate. You know what I mean? Damn near 30 years old or something. Like you just moved out mama's house or something, man. It's crazy. You know, it happens. That's why you can't take this life too serious, man. That's why the Lord says to store up your treasure in heaven, man, where thieves don't steal. The thief being Eve in this case, you know, because she'll steal all your stuff or she'll burn it or bleach it, you know, to get even. You know, if you move all your stuff in our house. Okay. Anyway, let me let's wrap this up. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, man. She'll reduce you to nothing. It says, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life, you know, by laying snares, trapping you, get you pregnant. I mean, not get you pregnant. You getting her pregnant, you know, sometimes they do that on purpose, man. But hide your used condom, that's all I gotta say, okay? Protect your seeds. That's something that you should always teach your sons if you have sons. It's the golden rule, the number one rule is to protect your seed, okay? And we like them idiots out there going to sperm banks for money, selling their seeds off. How dare you, man? Give your damn seed. If you're gonna be that stupid, I hope a pedophile buys your seed. Okay? You know? Not that I wish, you know, ill on your son for your behavior, but you know what I mean? Hey, you had that coming if you're gonna be so stupid. But, you know, what I'm trying to say is protect your seed. Okay, don't be sticking your seed in any Keisha out there just because she got a cute face or something, you know? she got a little bump back there. See, that's it. She's got you. Don't be weak, man. Don't be a simp. And give your power over to any as long as thou livest, like we read earlier. Alright, so, you know, let this be a cautionary tale. You don't want to wind up like this guy through, man. You know, he was paying thousands for rent, and now he's out in the streets. She threw all his stuff out in the front yard, man, to make a spectacle and an embarrassment of him, to humiliate him, man. He surely gave her his power, man. Don't do that. Okay, cleave to the scriptures I read, and you know there's probably more that I didn't go into that I, you know, might have slipped my mind, but you get the idea, man. All right, be cautious out there and protect your seed. All right, so shalom.